Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, what has happened is great. There has been agreement reached between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury for 2 fights in 2021. And the split will be 50-50 in the first fight and 60-40 in favour of the winner of the first fight. Now obviously, there are still obstacles to overcome. We can be excited, but not too excited until Joshua beats Pulev and until Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder for a second and a half time. So that must happen before this fight is able to go ahead. But it does mean this fight is penciled in for next year, provided both parties come through their next fights. Now, what is going to happen with Dillian Whyte? What is going to happen with Alexander Usyk? The two mandatories that will come after their next respected fights. Well, Tyson Fury is going to be upgraded to franchise champion by the WBC, meaning that Dillian Whyte will be WBC World Champion, not interim, the full champion. The belt that Tyson Fury holds now, essentially what Dillian Whyte really holds now anyway, it's the same belt, but he will be upgraded to that status, whereas Tyson Fury will be a super champion. So that's how this fight will go ahead. Now, what about Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua's WBO mandatory? Well, he is mandatory and he is fighting next Derek Chisora, so that is a fight that will keep him busy while Anthony Joshua deals with Kubrat Pulev. What about after that? Well, Alexander Usyk is promoted by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, the same promoter and promotional company of Anthony Joshua, who holds the WBO world title. Now, I don't believe that Anthony Joshua will need to vacate a title because he will deal with his IBF mandatory, Kubrat Pulev. Then he must deal with Alexander Usyk, his WBO mandatory, but I believe there must be something in place, a deal reached with Alexander Usyk, so that he will wait and step aside. And I believe what that might be is a fight with Dillian Whyte, meaning that Alexander Usyk still gets a world title opportunity against Dillian Whyte, who would be upgraded to WBC World Champion. So it still would be a world title fight, but it just wouldn't be for the WBO world title, meaning that Alexander Usyk is happy. Hopefully, Dillian Whyte will be happy because obviously he will be WBC World Champion. There is no disputing that he is a current and legitimate World Champion once that happens. So Dillian Whyte will have that status and the world title that he has so craved and realistically what he deserves. But ultimately, I believe that he will defend it against Alexander Usyk at some point. Now, obviously, Dillian Whyte is fighting Alexander Povetkin next, which I believe might be for the WBC World title. I mean, obviously, Dillian Whyte will be upgraded straight away to WBC World Champion, and obviously Tyson Fury will be upgraded to franchise champion. So essentially Dillian Whyte will become WBC World Champion overnight with the blink of an eye if Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder in their third fight, which I believe he will. So that means that Dillian Whyte will become WBC World Champion when that happens and when Tyson Fury is upgraded to super or franchise champion. Now, I know that Dillian Whyte will suddenly become a world champion, but it is well deserved, and I believe that Dillian Whyte does deserve props for that, because while he won't be winning that world title in the ring, he has definitely earned it with the opponents he has continuously faced, 50-50 fights, so Dillian Whyte deserves that world title. So while he won't get that moment of "and the new," he will still get it on social media hopefully, and he will receive adulation from those who have waited for Dillian Whyte to have a world title shot. So when that does happen, when Tyson Fury is upgraded to franchise champion so he can go into a unification fight with Anthony Joshua, let's not forget to congratulate Dillian Whyte because he will be a world champion, finally. So obviously that means that Dillian Whyte will likely face Alexander Usyk, I believe. I'm not sure if that is going to happen, but that will keep Alexander Usyk happy in the meantime while he waits for his mandatory position. Although, if he does go into a fight with Dillian Whyte and say wins that belt, then he will be WBC World Champion and he will no longer be mandatory to the WBO because he would hold a different version of a world title, meaning that he cannot be ranked with any other governing body. So obviously that is a possibility, but the big one, the big thing at the moment, the big news is Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. They have reached a deal, an agreement, and as I said, it will be 50-50 in the first fight, 60-40 in the second one, favouring the winner of the first fight. Now, where will this fight be? When will it happen? Well, I believe that if Tyson Fury is fighting Deontay Wilder in December, which seems likely, then Anthony Joshua will fight Kubrat Pulev around the same time. So that means that the fight will likely go ahead in May, maybe June. and then again in November, December, because I don't believe that Anthony Joshua will fight 3 times next year. Alexander Usyk, then back-to-back Tyson Fury fights, that is huge, and I just believe that he won't be doing that in 2021. I believe that Alexander Usyk will be stepping aside and waiting for this undisputed fight to happen, and if he's not, then I don't know how they have come to an agreement. Because if Tyson Fury is getting out of his mandatory Dillian Whyte, then Anthony Joshua must get out of his mandatory in Alexander Usyk. Because otherwise, Tyson Fury may as well still fight Dillian Whyte for his WBC world title. Because obviously Anthony Joshua has 2 fights, 2 mandatories. Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury has a voluntary but contracted with Deontay Wilder, then a mandatory in Dillian Whyte in February 2021. So that means that Tyson Fury is 2 fights away, and Anthony Joshua is 2 fights away. But if you take away the mandatory of Dillian Whyte from Tyson Fury by making him franchise champion, that means that Anthony Joshua still has 2 fights before he can get in with Tyson Fury, meaning that Anthony Joshua would need to fight 3 times next year, whereas Tyson Fury would be fighting twice next year. So I believe that there must be something in place to make sure that Alexander Usyk is pacified until Anthony Joshua is ready to fight him, until Anthony Joshua has had an undisputed fight with Tyson Fury. This is huge, the biggest fight in British boxing. Both fighters could earn purses in between $60 and $70 million. That's between 47 million and 55 million pounds for that undisputed fight, which would be the biggest British bout of generations. In fact, it would be the biggest overall, and it would be the first all-British fight to generate 9 figures in total. So this is a fight of epic proportions, and I am just so glad that they have finally come to some sort of agreement. Obviously, there are still bumps in the road, there are still things to overcome. Kubrat Pulev for Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder for Tyson Fury. They cannot take their eye off the ball because we are so close now. Will it happen in the UK? Will it happen in Saudi Arabia? Well, considering the money they're getting, likely Saudi Arabia. But still, the main thing is the fight happens. We need to see who is number 1 of this era. There have been so many classics in the past, so many fights between greats. We finally get to see a Tyson Holyfield, a Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield-esque fight in this era. The first one in the heavyweight division in an extremely long time. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.